that's an 8-person company would be very large for us. We have very few companies that have more than 5 people. The average range, we have lots and lots of 1- and 2-person companies. And 2, 3, 4, 5-person companies is quite common. We have a couple of maybe 3 or 4 companies that have somewhere between 10 and 30. And at the moment, I don't think we have a company larger than 30 employees. We have had a couple of examples where companies were much larger than that. There's a company, a local company that you may not be familiar with called HubSpot. But HubSpot just moved out about 6 months ago. And it's the classic example of a CAC client, 2 co-founders who met at MIT, finished their degrees, and moved in here. One was a marketing guy, and one was a computer developer. And they built a company that helps small businesses do search engine optimization. Their software is amazing. They moved out after 4 years this past July with 180 people.
Wow.
And now they're right down the street. So we were able to get, what happens commonly is a company like that might traditionally get to 20 or 30 people at CIC, and all of a sudden they can predict their business is going to work, it's not going to fail, they're generating revenue, they've got cash, and they now are old enough and mature enough where they can predict their growth. When you do that, it's safer to sign a 4 or 5 year lease on space that you'll grow into.
Yep.
Until that point, it's hard to beat our model because it's so flexible. You can move into here, and you get your 10th person, and you can all of a sudden be squeezed in, and you take the bay next door, and you've all of a sudden got plenty of room. And you're only paying for that space when you need it. It's not like you had to buy it in advance.
Usually it's by monthly rate.
Sorry?
It's by
Monthly.
By monthly
Yep,
rate.
monthly. 30 days notice you can move out. So technically speaking, HubSpot gave us 30 days notice to move out. When you get that big, we usually see it coming. Google is another example, and they're the most famous company that we had here.
Google was here.
Google, so Google's Android platform was created here, right on the 14th floor, in fact.
Why are you so flexible?
Well, so let me just, the quick story about Google is, so Google bought a company called Android, which was based in Cambridge. One of the co-founders is a guy named Rich Miner, and Rich Miner was friends with the CEO of our company, and when Android was purchased by Google, Rich Miner did not want to move to California, and so they built the business around him right here, and they moved out with about the same number, just under 200 people, about 3 years ago, after nearly 4 years of being at CIC. And at that point, when in both the cases of Google and HubSpot, they would expand into our space, and then they actually would outgrow the space, but they still wanted us to maintain their facility and just continue to do everything from internet to phones, all this huge back-end stuff. They didn't want to buy it because it would slow things down, and I'd rather hire someone who's going to generate revenue than someone to run the IT. And so in both cases, they actually took direct leases with the building, and we would move right in with them and manage the facility for them. So,
Are you open for non-US citizens or not non-US?
are we open for
International.
Oh, very much, yeah. In fact, we've got, that's a huge area that we're interested in doing more. We have a program called International Flex Space, which is one of the least expensive options we have here. And it's simply for companies that are based somewhere else who are trying to enter the U.S. market in Boston. You can be working out of CIC and have sort of all the access and benefits of being here for $275 a month.
They should have a license.
You technically, you have to sign a contract with us, but overall the limitation, it's very easy. Because we're a vendor, it's like
With one office like this, or with one big one?
with International Flex Space, for example, specifically, you would have, the idea is that most of the time, you're not here. You're back home. When you come here, we give you a desk in a shared space. If you actually walked by, it was right off of the kitchen.
Yes.
And so you can access, you can be here and you have a phone number with a U.S. telephone number and a fax number, and those things can all forward back home as well. We'll receive packages and you can use the address, the U.S. address.
Okay.
I'll give everybody my
Can
card.
I stay for 30 days a month?
The FlexSpace program is up to 10 days a quarter that you can be using CIC on site. If you need more than that, we have other programs that are not much more expensive, meaning for $500, you could actually set up your business here and be here 24/7, however often you like.
$500.
$500. And you have a dedicated desk. With International
What's
FlexSpace,
the
there's
minimum
nothing
cost for
dedicated.
getting license for business?
I'm not the person to ask. I've gotten a business license in Massachusetts and it cost me $500, but I don't know.
Is that what you mean? Is that your question, to open up a business in the state?
And the visa
To register?
status, what will it be? Business?
I wouldn't be the person to ask.
Because international, if I'm coming from outside, for example, if I'm ready to show up here,
Yeah, it's not.
And this is also a great example of what, so CAC has, we have lots of clients who ask us lots of questions that we don't always know the answers to. They might say, I really need a patent attorney, or I need an accountant for 6 months. Instead of having all those people on staff, which we could do and actually create revenue from it, we've decided instead to really try to foster a community where those groups come here. And so we have 10 different law firms within CIC. We have the guy next door owns a CPA firm. We make those introductions all the time. And so I would say, I don't know, but I can think of 6 people who would give you the answer, and they're great people for you to know.
It varies state by state. Licensing is different.
So this office, for example, the rent here is, the rent's about $3,500, $3,500.
Just for this office?
For this office, just for the rent.
Okay.
No, not, so that's for the room. We charge also $400 a month per person.
Oh, so
Okay.
per person.
Yeah, so you add the two, so if you have 4 people in here, it's $3,500 for the rent, plus $1,600 for the people,
Per month.
just over $5,000 per month.
And then the office includes all the things.
Includes everything except your computer, and then we have staff, we have a help desk team to support your computer.
What's the shared facilities and what's the...
We'll walk around, but we have 40 conference rooms, 6 kitchens, lots and lots of private areas. If you're in a room like this, you may need a phone booth to make a private phone call. We have all
the
those
phones,
resources.
is it with direct line or extension?
Direct line.
Direct line.
Direct line.
And the fax?
Yep, it's the same. And they can go to WAV files or PDF files directly to your email. So you could literally be in Saudi Arabia, getting voice over IP.
Am I going to get any bills? Like utility bills or no?
No,
Like
it's
phone, fax, internet?
our client is the entrepreneur who the last thing on earth you want to do is have an unknown cost. Everything is fixed, except for parking, which is not included, and international phone calls. We bill back whatever cost it is.
Cool.
Our goal is to make a completely transparent cost for you. It's the opposite of what I've had experience before with a cell phone bill, for example, where it's like, I can't believe how many taxes there are on top of the ones you told me about. I feel like I'm being violated, and this is the opposite. There's no lease. People, if they get angry, they can move out. So, and just to give you an example of how sensitive we are, we have in 11 years we've only increased our service fee, which is now $400. We've only increased it once, and that was 2 years ago when the economy was in real trouble. We had to increase it by $40 from $360. We just made the decision that we need to raise it again by $30, and we gave everybody 1 year's notice.
Wow.
So, you know, no one's happy to get an email that says, sorry, your fees are going to go up. But one of the ways that you can help soften that is to say, but it's not for 12 months, so you can prepare. We're really, really sorry, but we're trying to be good guys about it. And 100% of our clients totally understood.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, and again, if we make Miha, who you just met, angry, he has other options. He just raised $5 million, by the way. So he can move out tomorrow and buy something in a very high tower right in Boston and be just as happy. So